Hi, Kelly. Welcome to Power Women Wellness. How are you today?
I am great. Thank you so much for having me.
Yes, I can't wait to deep dive because there's lots of things here from like faith to wellness to your career. So I'll start with the career first. And I know we'll sprinkle all the rest in there, but I would love for you to share your career of like where you started and then where you're at now.
Okay. Well, it's been a ride, and I think I was born an entrepreneur right out of the womb. I always wanted to do my own thing, and I was very independent. I'm an only child. That probably had something to do with it. So I went to school and I thought I wanted to become a teacher because I didn't know what to do in life and I didn't know
Yeah.
about entrepreneurship at that young age. So I got my teaching degree and then I just wasn't feeling fulfilled after all those
Mhm.
years out of college and being in the school. I did love my children. They were awesome, my students, but I was always into fitness. You touched upon this for
Mhm.
a quick second, and we can talk about this as we have our conversation. But I knew being a teacher was in me, but not sitting in a school. So I took my
Mhm.
fitness that I loved working out and I decided to start my own fitness program. A gym was opening down the street. I got certified in CrossFit at the time. So I was just like I said, born an entrepreneur. I'm going to do this. I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm just going to do it. I'm going to show up. I'm going to ask women to come to my classes. And that became an 11-year huge business where I coached thousands of women from nutrition, health, on the stages of competitions. I became a four-time National Bikini Champion along that journey as well. And it was so much fun. But then I realized again, these women were working out. They were looking good on the outside, but their
Yeah.
mindset was definitely not catching up to their physical bodies because they still felt not good enough and I don't feel good and I'm eating like crap and I feel fat today. And I heard all the things that all of us women
Yeah.
talk about. So I after COVID happened and I'm kind of skipping through, I said, what can I do to help these women that are stuck? They're working out, they're showing up to the gym, but they're still not fulfilled. They're still not happy.
Yeah.
They're still not having peace. And for me, being a faith person, I said, I need to tie my faith into my coaching and kind of pivot in a way to more, let me see if I can tie in helping them get healthy from the inside out, but also tying in my faith. So I
Mm.
started a podcast, I wrote two books, I started speaking on stages. I'm very much of an empowerment person. I'm known as I speak life into people. That's just what I do naturally. And I just tied my faith into that. And so from 2021 through now, I've been more life coaching, podcasting. My daughter and I have a podcast together. We do a lot of live events for women. So we're
Love
really
that.
cheerleaders of women
Oh,
in all ways, faith, mindset, health, and fitness, because that's me.
yeah.
Entrepreneurship, business, sales. Like I've kind of covered it all along my years of living here. So
I
yeah,
love
I
that.
don't know which way you want to
I
go,
love
but I,
that.
I can talk on all of that.
Yay. Well, we'll start, I guess, going back a little bit. So, yes, you being in fitness, was that always something that came natural to you? Like, did you grow up eating healthy and just being in that environment, or it was just
My
something you learned
gosh.
along the way and you just love?
Okay, girl, I was the most unhealthiest eater you ever met in your life. I ate fast food. I went to McDonald's. My go-to was always a Big Mac, a cheeseburger, and a large fry, and I ate all that myself. Um, Kraft macaroni and cheese was my staple, and black raspberry ice cream. Okay,
And this
sure.
pre-bikini
Yeah.
or during?
Oh, yeah.
Because
No,
I
no,
know
no.
that. Okay, okay.
No, this was all the way up until I was about 32 years old. I ate like
Wow.
that. It was bad. I was very unhealthy. I didn't like vegetables. I just was a junk food junkie.
Yeah.
And
Maybe
that's
it
the
tastes good.
normal. Yeah, it
Hey,
did.
that's how they make it.
But this is even on my website a little bit about me. I suffered from 8 years old with migraine headaches. I was in and out of the clinics. I was in and out of hospitals,
Wow.
and I never knew why. And so doing that, living that kind of lifestyle
Yeah.
was, as you know now, as I know now,
Right.
was the sugar really was one of the root causes. And so around 32-ish, 33-ish, I said, I can't live like this anymore. I need to make a change. Um, I had to do something different because what I was doing wasn't working. So
Mm,
that's when I was kind of opening up my fitness business, and I'm like, I can't be a junk food junkie and getting certified in fitness and
yeah.
cross and in eating this way. So I dived into nutrition courses and getting certified in nutrition and learning about food because my parents, they just didn't teach, they weren't like foodies like I am.
Yeah.
I went from junk food junkie to why aren't you guys all eating vegetables all the time? I mean, don't you know that sugar's bad? And I was like that girl. Like my mom was like, what in the world
What
can I
happened?
please just eat my Jiffy, Skippy peanut butter and jellies every day? I'm like, no, we're I throw things out of the house. And so I ended up, choosing better options, healing my own body of migraines. I started drinking water, which I never did. And that's that's my history of how I
Mm,
got to being healthy as I am today. But I did it all myself. I had to deep dive. Your listeners need to know that you're never stuck. It's never too late. You can
yeah.
change. Anybody can change. I can If I can change, anybody can change their healthy
Yeah.
way, new lifestyle. I truly believe it, and I've just never felt better. And so
Yeah.
it's just been
Yeah.
that's been such a journey for me of healing in my own body. Yeah.
I love that so much. And I know too that you're a breast cancer survivor. So I would love for you to kind of share that experience for you. And then also if that changed anything with health. So that did that come after you started making those changes?
Around the same time,
Okay.
I was
Okay.
just about launching my business. It was called Kelly's Boot Camp for Women. So it was my own fitness business. I was diagnosed with breast cancer 2 months before I opened the door.
Oh
So
my God.
crazy time. I had already committed. I already started eating healthy. So thankfully, I already started
Nice.
that transition when I was diagnosed. That was definitely a wake up call in another way.
Mhm.
Um, just to know that, you can be healthy because I had already been eating healthy maybe about a year.
Yeah.
But of course, when I was diagnosed, I blamed that. I said, I can't believe I caused this on my own. I was shameful. I was angry. I went through all the feelings of being
Yeah.
diagnosed. And then I'm like, here I am. I'm opening this fitness business to show women how to be healthy. But here I am. I have cancer. Like, what am I going to do? It was a little bit of a pity party, which you can expect,
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
normal human. But that's where my faith came alive at that moment.
Oh, I
So I
love
grew
that.
up in a faith-filled home. I grew up in a Christian home. We went to Catholic church and all that. And then my mom found a different church, which it's, we just loved God and
Yeah.
it was beautiful. And that's where my faith really took a turn in a way that it went on fire. I had to
I love
really
that.
rely on my faith to get me through what I was going through
Yeah.
mentally, physically, and then committing to my program for my women. Like
Yeah.
I was like, God, how am I going to do this? Because I committed to starting my classes at 5 a.m.
Oh my
and I
gosh.
knew it was like going to be,
And did you have to do treatment?
I had to, well, so did radiation every
Okay.
single day, like my
Oh my
job, but
gosh.
that makes you tired and,
Yeah.
it was just a whole thing, but I got through it with my faith
I love
and
that.
God knew everything was orchestrated, I believe, in a
Yeah.
divine way because my women that I was showing up for kept me accountable, kept me going. They were my support system, even though they didn't even know it, because I wasn't really talking
Yeah.
to them. I didn't want to, I just showed up because I said I was going to. And
Yeah.
it was a win-win. I was showing up for them to help them get healthy and fit, but they were my people that I needed to show up for myself.
Yeah.
So yeah, it all happens around that time, but I got through. I'm 17 years breast cancer free.
Amazing.
Yep,
I
it's
love that.
amazing. So everything is just good. God is good. I'm very proud to say I'm healthier than I've ever been.
I
And
love that. I love that. Yeah, I
Thank
know. I believe the same. I feel like everything's orchestrated in a certain way. And even in like sometimes the worst and like worst situations that can happen, I'm like, I don't know. I just always feel like something is for a reason,
you.
always for the
Yes.
greater good. And even though we don't understand it, even if it's like really, really awful, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe that I'm typically a little bit more glass half full kind of person. So I always feel
Yes.
like there's something that's happening behind the scenes that we just don't understand. Even when things were like my prayers wasn't answered and, my husband, I lost my husband and he didn't heal. But I don't know. I just feel like there's always something that we just don't understand. And obviously there's life beyond this world too. And we're
Abs-
100% guaranteed all to die anyway. So there's that too. None of us will escape that. But so I'm
Yes.
like you. I think that
Yes.
there's always something that is being happening in the background that we can't see.
Oh my gosh. My daughter and I talk about that all the time. She just said the other day, she's like, Mom, I had, an awakening that our brokenness is being built for something greater. We're not
Yeah.
broken. Like she's 26 telling me we were talking about something and we
Oh,
podcast
I love
together.
that.
And I was like, you're right. It's just, we all need to realize that sometimes we go through these broken places that,
Yeah.
like, my mom, you just said something so powerful that my mother, who raised me in a godly way, was the most beautiful woman I ever knew. My daughter's grandmother, best friends. She was just I can't even describe the pureness of her, the loveliness of her, the godliness in her, the wisdom she had. And she was taken at 66. And we can't question,
Mm,
we prayed for her healing every single day. But at the end of the day, we're not God. And we have to just keep our prayers high, keep our
just
faith on high,
trust. Yeah.
and trust that God has the plan. We don't. That's what faith's
Yeah.
all about. That's how we
Yeah.
get through to the next thing. And
A
it's hard.
hundred
I'm
percent.
not
A
saying it's
hundred percent.
easy. It sucks and it's hard, but what else
Yeah.
is there, right? If
Yeah.
woe is me all day, we can't walk around like you said. You're saying so many great things, like the glass half full. If you don't have that mindset, then you're walking around with an empty cup all day. No wonder why
Yeah.
you feel crappy and not,
Yeah.
it's a ripple effect. So
For sure. No, yeah, I lost my mom too this summer. So it wasn't unexpected. So she was declining for a couple of years. So I had lots of like good pre-grief therapy too to help me prepare that.
yes,
But when it came to that point, it was just like God's will be done. Like I'm not even gonna pray for healing at this point because at this point, I think she'd be better off in heaven, to be honest. So
yes,
it was just
yes.
one of those like acceptance of just like I can't change it and it is what it is. And yes, could this have been changed differently if she took care of her body her whole life? But she didn't. Like even up until like she really started getting sick, she had like kidney disease and stuff like that. She never really prioritized that, which I feel like it's kind of hard for that generation because they didn't, I don't know, they're kind of stuck in their ways and it's harder for
Yeah,
them to kind of make that change,
yeah.
unlike the younger generations. But anyways, by the time it was at that point, I was just like, whatever's happened is gonna happen and it's meant to happen that way. So I
That's what we say. We say, let go and let God. That's
yeah.
it. Sometimes you got to let go, right?
Yeah, yes. And it's great because you go through life, not that you won't ever experience anything bad or anything heavy, but it's nice to unload that burden
Oh, yeah.
because it can get too heavy for sure.
Mhm.
But I love that spiritual wellness is a huge part of your non-negotiables and wellness in general, because I do feel that spiritual wellness is probably the most underrated aspect of wellness. And even studies show, and I remember even my professor brought this up in my doctorate, he was mentioning how people who have like health issues, but there's certain questions that we ask in our questionnaire of just like, it's a little bit deeper, it's actually really deep. It's just like, what is your purpose in life? Like, do you have a purpose in life? Like, do you have a spiritual belief? And the people that tend not to, even if maybe they aren't spiritual, but they also lack purpose, there's like
Mhm.
those deep core meanings of life that when they don't have that, they tend to be stuck in like a chronic illness cycle. And it's really hard to pull out of that. And that was even interesting hearing that from him and his experience of being a naturopathic doctor for decades and
Yeah.
decades. And there's something to it for sure. And like I said, maybe it's just the burden and just not feeling like we can carry it and having trust that there is. And honestly, me and my friend always joke too, because my science brain and stuff, I've always been a believer, even though I didn't grow up in like a household of like we believed, but we didn't go to church. We weren't like that, but I definitely was always a believer. But then my science brain will come in, and sometimes I just have to fight it and be like, there's just things I won't understand. There's things that will never have answers, and I just have to be okay with that. But we always joke too. I'm like, honestly, if God's a placebo, that's fine. He at least brings me peace like in life. So like that's the worst case scenario that I'm just believing nothing. But there is so much peace that comes with my faith. So I love that that is a part of your wellness. And so if you want to speak anything more to that, as well as any other like faith-based habits that you do daily that are a game changer for you.
Oh, I love that. Well, I do want to say what you just said a minute ago. I read a study. It was a professor, a doctor. It was, I don't want to say exactly what he said, but he had, you might have heard this story. He had all his patients say 100 times a day something like this: I am healed, I am whole. I am healed, I am whole. As sick as they
Ooh.
were, in the study found the people that said this lived. And the
Mm,
ones that were woe is me, I'm negative, the negativity
mm,
mindset, they declined in every single way. The story was fascinating to me because it's like that visual of the plant. You talk to
yeah,
that plant, that you talk to a plant and speak life into the plant. The other one, there's another story of you degrade the plant and it dies. It's
yeah,
words are life breathing to yourself. And so back to your question, my spiritual habits, I really believe in reading my Bible every morning. I believe I've come alive. Every time I open that book, I come alive in a new way. I'm lit up in a new way. God's word just lights me up, speaks life into me. And so that's a non negotiable for me. Like I
love
wake
it.
up, of course, I'm in prayer and I read my Bible because I found myself years ago reading everything else in self-help books, and that's fine. Personal development, I'm all about it. I love growth. I never want to be the same. I always want to learn, but the Bible just does something different that nothing
Mm,
else does. The book of Proverbs is a book of wisdom, and speaking life into yourself just I don't it just you can get through life with that hope and that peace
yes.
that passes understanding. So, my morning routine consists of my prayer, coffee time with my husband is a non negotiable, and my Bible reading, and then my workout. Those just, I don't miss. And
Yeah.
it's how I thrive, it's how I stay sane.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
How would you what would you recommend for someone who isn't like they want to have faith and maybe they do, but maybe they've just been separated it from it for so long, or maybe they've just never found it. What would be like a good starting point that you would recommend to just get them into that exploration stage?
Oh, I love that. I mean, well, I would say open up the Bible
Yeah.
and learning about who's Jesus. Like if they're curious about this faith and this God, the book of John is a beautiful book to learn who Jesus was. But it's also having some quiet time and just sitting and asking God to
Mm,
speak to you. Like so many of us are running through life ragged. We're so
yeah.
busy. The phones are so distracting. There's so much chaos in the world, negativity, and we get consumed by it. And then we wonder why we feel so deflated, so
And
defeated, so
anxious. Yeah.
anxious, anxious. It's like, why can't we start your morning with 5 minutes of just sitting quietly in prayer? And prayer looks different for all of us. Prayer is just communication with God,
Mm,
asking Him, God, speak to me today. Show me you. Maybe it's sunshine. Maybe it's taking a walk outside and just starting with that. I think getting
yeah.
silent is the beginning of everything. And
Yeah.
many people don't do it because,
Yeah.
you
Or they
know,
struggle.
they
They
struggle.
struggle. Like it feels
Yeah.
uncomfortable.
Yes.
Just
Very.
not like I think we've forgotten how to get
Yes.
bored.
Yeah. Yeah. We see it in the kids, right? Like even my son, he's 19. I'm like, put the phone down. Can you just
Yeah.
in your own thoughts? And it's
Yeah.
not his fault. It's like they grew up with the phone. Like
Yeah.
it's so hard. But
Yeah.
that's why I want to say to all the parents out there, don't ever stop. Don't ever
Yeah.
stop. Be that, nag if you have to be that nag. Like I constantly just try to lead my children in the way God leads me in talking
Yeah.
about faith and telling them to be silent. Think your own thoughts. Don't take on the thoughts of everyone else around you.
Yeah.
You know,
Yes. Yes. And assessing that too, because I know like social media is like a normal part of our like day-to-day world now for all of us,
yeah.
especially if you have a business. But I usually will get those feelings of where I just feel like, okay, I've been doing this, I've been scrolling for too long. It's not serving me. Yes, you kind of feel that heaviness, and that's usually a big signal for me to be like, I need to stop, I need to walk away, I need to go on a walk, I need to listen to a podcast. I
Yes.
love actually, as you were talking, I'm like, I really need to re-listen to that. But one of the books that I woke up and I would start reading, I think it was maybe a chapter. It's not that long of a book, but it was The Circle Maker. And
That's the best book. That's my
I,
favorite.
yes, I love that book.
Wait, how about the 40-day draw the circle? That's life-changing. If you haven't
Yes.
done that, is it?
Yes. And it's been a couple years, but I remember
Oh,
like I would wake up and I'd like read a chapter and I really
yes.
loved it. And so for some reason, as you were talking, I'm like randomly like, I feel like I should probably reread that book again.
Yes.
Um,
Amazing. That is,
'Cause
give a shout out to Draw the Circle and the Circle Maker. 100%.
yes, yes. And we just signed a lease to bring our clinic in IRL because we've been virtual for like 10 years. So I was also
Amazing.
thinking, I'm like, I think in the book, didn't he like physically walk
Yes.
around the building like so many
Yes.
times? I probably should do that. And so I'm gonna get off and like I think I have the physical book, but I'm like, I kind of want to put on Audible so I can like listen to it while I walk.
That is so funny that you're saying this, and I'm not trying to interrupt you, but I get
No.
excited because with everything going on in the world right now, the assassination of Charlie Kirk and the division of
Yeah.
people and in the whole thing, I literally walked circles in prayer after all that because I was so heavy in my heart.
Yeah.
Had tears for the family, the wife that lost a husband, the divide in our country. Like I just
Yeah.
felt such heaviness and I circled and I circled.
I
And
love
guess what? I'm not even joking. I had such a burden lifted off me.
yeah.
I felt such a freedom and it just a newness rose up in me.
Yeah.
That heaviness just faded. So
Yeah.
full circle, whatever
Yes.
challenge,
This is my
whatever
sign.
you want. It's amazing. What can I know? People listening are probably like, what are they talking about? But just reach out to us if you want us to help you with this.
Yes.
We'll
I'll have
talk.
to put that resource in the show notes for sure, so you can read it if
Yes.
you haven't. But no, it's so true, and I love those little like God winks that happen, like when
Yes.
you like are thinking something and it's just kind of confirmed. And I know I was just talking to a friend the other night, and I would say she like aligns with, as she mentioned, like her life and her, what she expects her kids and just like how to live and the person to be. She's like it very much aligns with the Bible, but again, I think it's just that science brain that kind of takes over and again, there's things that we just can't explain, and it's so hard to, it's
No.
actually impossible to explain. It's more of like a feeling or these things that just happen. And I don't know, I guess, yeah, you can always say it's just coincidence or lucky, but I don't think it is. It's just too, sometimes it's too creepy. And I'm like, no, it's not a coincidence.
No. It's a God coincidence or whatever.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yes, exactly. I love that you also co-host a faith-based podcast with your daughter. What inspired you to create that together?
So we have been through a lot together. We have a story, and both of our you'll have to go listen. I'm not
Okay.
going to ruin it, but we had a secret in our family for 20 years that we never talked about, and
Mm,
it was slowly killing us both together and separately. And we struggled in our mother-daughter relationship, especially 16, 17. She was 16 through 20. It was a lot of fighting, and because of what we finally came clean. We finally shared our testimony, and that's what brought us together. Her faith got deeper. And this past February 2025, God just said, I had a podcast for 5 years at this time, but God said, it's time for you and your daughter because her faith came so alive and let's share the story. Let's clean the slate. Let's bring this out. Let's get it off our chest and move forward. And let's help
Mm,
other people know that they're not alone with what they're going through, because a lot of people probably have gone through things that we went through. And let's come together as mother and daughter and just speak life into people. So she was all for it. And that's how we started.
oh,
We named the podcast Chosen by Jesus because really it's just we love Jesus so much just because of the man he was. He loved people. He didn't judge people. He loved the sinners, the prostitutes, the people
yeah,
doing bad things. And why can't we just be like Jesus? Why can't we just love people? And that's
yeah,
what we just talk about on the podcast. We don't have to be some holy roller. And we're not about following rules. And it's just we love Jesus because Jesus loves us so much for everything we do bad.
yeah,
Like it says in the Bible, when the woman that was a prostitute and sleeping with all the guys, and well, you here who's never sinned, throw the first stone. That's that's Jesus.
yeah.
That's what we love. And so our podcast is Chosen by Jesus, and it's so much fun. And we
Oh,
share
I
our
love that.
real stories, real things that women go through, even men. And
Yeah.
um, we just want to shine light in a very dark world. That's
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. No, I know. And it's so I feel like more than ever, it's like pretty heavy, which I think definitely weighs down again, bringing it to wellness. Like it weighs down our hearts and our stress levels and how we feel. And especially with politics being maybe it's just because I'm older and I now pay attention to it versus when you're young, you just don't pay attention to it. But I do feel like it's gotten more divisive. And even I'm such a person like will always agree to disagree. Like I
yes.
have friends all across the spectrum. I am always empathetic and understanding, even if I don't agree with it. And that's just like how I like to end
Hey,
it. But it's always so interesting because there's such severe on both sides. But it's so healing to see that a lot of people are like in the middle and it isn't so loud, but both sides on both sides of the spectrum are so loud. And that's just what we hear the most on social. And it creates that
yeah,
divisive energy. And so yeah, I'm like you. I want to give that acceptance and love and even in, again, even if we don't see eye to eye on every single thing, which we're not supposed to.
exactly.
That's the
That's
whole
what I
point
say.
of being
Like
different.
yeah, there was a saying, what would Jesus do? WWJD. Like
Yeah.
if Jesus was alive today, he's not taking sides. He's loving all
Yeah.
the people and
Yeah.
just saying, let's just have peace and unity and stop
Yeah.
throwing stones, So I agree.
Hurt people.
Yeah,
So all you can do, yeah, is love
and
them.
forgiven people forgive people, and that's the
Yeah.
difference. We need to forgive more. So
Yeah.
that's a whole other topic.
But honestly, even spiritual aside, though, I feel like there's even the bodily health of holding on to bitterness and resentment.
Yes.
And I'm sure we've all, I think, had situations that like we've had to forgive. And so even if you're listening to this and you're not a believer, but like it's just so good for our body. Even Chinese medicine will say certain emotions are tied to
Yes.
certain like health issues, right? Like cardio. I think unforgiveness is actually tied to cardiovascular issues, which makes sense, right? The body keeps a score, it holds on to it. Any advice for people who are struggling with maybe unforgiveness from maybe someone that hurt them in the past or and if they are a believer, but even if you're a believer, there still can be that struggle because being a believer doesn't mean that all of a sudden everything comes easy to you.
It definitely doesn't. It definitely doesn't. You just can get through it and you have more peace going through the fire, knowing that
Okay, I
God's
love
in
that.
control. Yes.
Okay,
You're
I love
still
that.
going to walk through those fires all the time. I mean, I just walked through one this week and my body was shook but I still knew I can cling to God and have his peace through it. And I wasn't
Yeah,
alone in the middle of
yeah,
the night. So, but when it comes to, forgiveness, it's so hard. I know it is. I struggled with that myself. My daughter, that's what we talk about a lot. Forgiving is very hard. But the way I look at it, because I'm a believer, is Jesus forgives me every day. I'm not perfect. I do a lot of things that
yeah,
are very wrong and not kind and not great, but he forgives me. And I know it because I feel cleansed. So
yeah,
he forgives me. Why can't we forgive others? It's, we're not perfect. We have to remind
yeah.
ourselves of that. We're very quick to judge. and quick to not forgive. But if we just start being quick to forgive, it lightens our own,
It does.
it
The
doesn't.
body, even the physical body. That's why I'm like, even
Yeah,
just like your
yeah,
health, that you literally feel this transformation when you
yeah.
let go of that, for
It's
sure.
so true. It's so true. Yep.
Well, I love your books, Addicted to Climb, The One Prayer. What core message do you hope women take away from your books?
Really, prayer is something, it's different for all of us. Like I said, it's communication. That's a more of a 52-week journal, but it's not a regular journal. I did write some chapters in there that talks all about prayer, and we're all coming from different backgrounds, but prayer is so powerful. Prayer does change circumstances. Prayer can take you from an anxious mode that you're running into peaceful in an instant. It really can. I know I'm a walking, living, breathing example of it. And so that book was more for let's get intentional about our prayer. Let's get more focused on what we're praying for. And I was so scattered in my prayer life. So that's why I wrote that. Because
Mm,
I was like praying for this one and that one, and then I'd forget, and then my kids, and then I just needed a place that every week, what is my one prayer? That's what it's called.
yeah.
What is my one prayer for me this week, and who am I praying for this week?
Mm,
And so that's what that one, and Addicted to the Climb was my first book, my first podcast, because I'm a climber. I'm all, like I told you from the beginning, I
yeah.
was born an entrepreneur. I'm always reaching for the next thing, and I'm addicted to the climb of life. I never want to stop growing. I've climbed my way out of deep, dark places. So I shared 32-minute stories in that book of helping people know that they're not alone, and let's continue the climb. Let's not give up
I
on
love that.
ourselves. Let's keep betting on ourselves because no one else will. So,
Yeah. I love that. And I love that you bring those personal experiences because
mm,
something that, especially with social media, I always try to share the good and the bad because it is so much of a highlight reel. And
yeah,
people just need to understand like everyone has the thing that they're struggling with. We've all gone through things. And I think even it's just healing knowing that you're not alone.
yeah,
Truly. So I
yeah.
love that you shared that. I'm going to put all your links in the show notes, but is there anything else that you want to say? I love how this one kind of geared a little bit more towards spiritual wellness. But again, like I said, I think it's the most underrated aspect of true healing. To our very core. So, anything else you want to share with us on this or wellness
I
in general?
just I think I'm just going to encourage the listener to just really get quiet with themselves. If you're struggling with, your purpose, or what am I supposed to be doing? I don't even know. How did 5 years go by? All the things. Get quiet with yourself. Give yourself
Mm,
grace, first of all. Forgive yourself because you're not perfect,
yeah,
and start there. I mean, there's so much chaos, but we find our
yeah.
courage when we get quiet. We find our
Mm,
confidence in ourselves when we get quiet and step into who God really created us to be. So
yeah.
that would be my encouragement.
I love it. Well, thanks for spending time with us today.
Yes, thank you for having me.